watch list right now is fully scrolled down. So this is everything. All right, looks like we are good to go. We are live. Trying to find the actual stream here. There we go. All right, testing audio, 1, 2, 3. A little bit of an audio artifact there, but looks like we're good. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It is July 23rd, 2021. Let's get right into it. So happy Friday to everybody. Hopefully you've been surviving this volatile week of sharp downside into very rapid and surprising recovery bounce so far. We've had some pretty good trade opportunities across the board in different sectors and different marketplaces that have either been a bit oversold. A lot of the travel and cruise sector kind of hit those levels and had some nice recovery bounces. We're still seeing tech and communications, a lot of our sort of risk on sectors, not really pulling back heavily during market volatility. And we have a few names that have actually broken to new all-time highs, which we'll look at in just a moment. So because it is Friday, I just wanted to start off with the SPX. We do have the expected move marked for this week. And so far we have hit one of those targets, albeit very quickly and during sort of a surprising downside session on Monday. So with the option market, if you understand and respect expected moves in your trading, I see YouTube's kind of flashing here. So YouTube has switched over. So, all right, just making sure we're not showing the wrong things on YouTube here. But if you know the expected move, option markets often will close within that range. It's a 1 standard deviation sort of probability of closure between that range. And what was interesting about this week is we had an expanded expected move. We also had a test of the lower end of that standard deviation range very early in the week. So with most ranges in markets, things that have well-defined levels, often a lot of risk is placed at these levels due to the fact that that's how market dynamics tend to work. Ranges inside of price action are defined by supply and demand imbalances, and if we ever breach those levels, usually the risk becomes higher to the market participants that are in the wrong direction of the trade. So just like a level breakout or breakdown, markets have to adjust to new supply demand, and obviously risk parameters start to change. The same ideas apply to the expected move, but oftentimes instead of thinking about it more as a level, something that markets respect in terms of inflecting, oftentimes markets are actually drawn to these expected move levels. They sort of gravitate to them, and risk is placed at these levels, leading to either moves away back to sort of your value zone inside the entire range, or sharp moves down, which leads to hedging and risk mitigation, basically attempts inside of the market. So expected move is marked. We have about 4,400 to the upside due to the fact that we've had such a strong recovery, and the fact that if we look at the SPY this morning, we see that we are basically testing all-time highs amidst a couple of stocks really starting to breach their all-time high, large market cap names. We basically have to look to this expected move as a potential target if we really continue this sharp recovery rally. Some of those names include the likes of Facebook, which have a little bit of a sentiment gap up due to some of the earnings we've gotten from stocks like Twitter. So once again, not marked if I don't just show the daily, but Twitter did have some relatively surprising earnings and good outlook overall. So that has been rewarded with price gaps inside of Twitter. We're seeing that sort of correlated gap up in the likes of Snap, which also had its earnings. And then Facebook correspondingly is having a strong gap up open today, kind of hitting right above its previous all-time highs. We also have the likes of our large market cap tech names like Microsoft, which is breaking into new all-time highs as of yesterday. And as always with Apple, because we have tagged 150 to the penny and so far have not pulled back heavily, simply threatening a possible aggressive trend line on this sharp gap down, but not losing it as of yet. So far, market conditions are set up to where this recovery bounce has a lot of potential strength. That's on the back of a lot of our inflationary sectors, not necessarily seeing some weakness. And we are seeing the likes of the 10-year interest rate, not necessarily strong recovery, but lots of volatility amidst a massive decline that we saw recently. TLT, TNX, TYX, and other tracking indices for interest rates are moving quite sharply at the moment, and there's been a lot of money flow back and forth between the bond market, the equities market, and then the adjustment that we're seeing in some of our sectors and index ETFs. So one thing that may be useful moving into this this Friday and looking to add it to our analysis moving forward is something known as the put-call ratio for, in this case, we'll do the entire OCC, which is the Option Clearing Corp. We're essentially trying to map out here the sort of fear and complacency based on a ratio of puts to calls inside of the entire US option market. So for Thinkorswim, this particular ratio can be seen with something as marked as $P call. And unfortunately, with a candle chart, it's very hard to analyze or just review. So what we often want to do is just change that to a simple line chart. Now, how do we use something like this put-call ratio in our analysis? Let's take a look at the SPX, and let's just see some of the previous price action and some of these large inflection points that the put-call ratio has signaled in the past. One of the most recent ones has been the sharp drop that we've seen recently. So approximately on July 19th, we had a very high put-to-call ratio, about 0.8. Now, relative strength on this ratio, it's not necessarily that high, but it had basically a sharp incline from a previous midpoint of 0.5. You want to think of 0.5 as basically the most balanced ratio in terms of hedging versus speculation with regards to calls. And with a 0.8, this sharp reading, we map over to the SPX and we see that at least in this scenario, it did mark a significant low that so far has made at least at the moment, testing a new all-time high. We look back again and we see another sharp incline around May 10th to 11th. And then we look to our charts and we see that May 10th and 11th, one of the more highly volatile periods in the market, and amidst a more significant trading range that was being analyzed, but once again marking a significant low. You can even see that as we tested that low, approximately May 19th, we look back in time, that test also coincided with higher readings in the put to call ratio. And then as you move forward in time, or sorry, back in time, you can see that this correlation does hold fairly well so far in the year 2021, and even moving back into the 2020 timeframe, we can see something as significant as the COVID lows around March 12th of 2020. That marks a very close to approximate bottom inside of the SPX. This is obviously not a perfect one-to-one, but when it comes to sharp inflections in the market, this often can be a little bit of a tell, indicating that the imbalance of put to calls is leading to, similar to the equity market, a supply-demand imbalance, and can often mark some significant lows. So then the question becomes, can this also find significant highs? Can this mark tops before sharper pullbacks occur in the market? And what we can do is we can sort of narrow the time frame once again, just to the past year. We can see, do we get readings below 0.5 that indicate moves that are starting to become climactic or just exhaustive in terms of buying pressure? So we have a low here approximately June 9th, and if we shift over to our chart, we see that June 9th once again is not a perfect area to consider just going all out short, but prior to that, or I guess at the time of that reading, if you're starting to position short, we do see a bit of a sort of liquidation break in the market, this sort of unexpected drop, and then once again, sharp spike to 618, and that marks a low against the overall trend and rally. So probably not as clear marking highs versus marking lows, but so far it gives a bit of additional information to where are market participants fearful versus greedy? Are we looking at imbalance in between puts to calls? And because this is representing the entire US option market, it does have sort of like an overall viewpoint, as opposed to looking too close to an industry, a sector, or the like. Now, with this is a pretty high level put to call ratio. Can you use this information in something a little bit more specific? And if we go back to just a single chart, I'll change my style back to candle. Let's say, for example, you're interested in something like a semiconductor market. Well, in the lieu of having an index ETF that represents the entire semiconductor industry, you can find one that at least has a heavy weighting inside of it, something like SMH, and specifically something with high option volume. Going to analyze and looking through, sorry, this kind of changed as I shifted my chart around. Going into something like option statistics, you can find this information, albeit not mapped out in a chart, and you can start to build a thesis around this information over time. So this right here is going to represent that same bit of information, albeit it is more of a snapshot as opposed to a historical chart. So there are ways to find this information more historically, begin to map this out, and similar to what we saw with $P-call, these can mark areas of imbalance if you're trading something that has high liquidity. So whether you're trading something like Apple, a more specific stock that oftentimes leads in terms of option volume in the market, that same bit of information can be found here. And you can see that these readings right now are relatively low based on the fact that the put to call ratio is relatively low. These readings are showing that the call volume is exceeding the put volume by about 3 times. And that can, in the short term, lead to momentum and topping action, which once again needs to be oftentimes corrected in the market. We'll see a sharp spike in the opposite direction with puts exceeding calls, and so on and so forth. So when you're looking for these moments in the market where, let's say you're very much a bull-based trader, you're looking for long opportunities, you can find these sharper inflections in the market, look to the put-call ratio, and start to define risk parameters based on how high the reading is in the ratio. And then similarly, if you're looking for good short opportunities, they may not be perfect in terms of marking the exact day, but oftentimes you can find imbalance inside of the put-call ratio and look for those moments where the market can correct quite sharply. So as we get into Friday's session, and since we're speaking more in the way of options, just note that because it is Friday, we do have option series beginning to expire today. Not necessarily a heavy option expiry day overall, but oftentimes we will see pinning activity inside of different strikes. And if you're trading a stock that does have high option volume, it can be useful just to review where some of the heavy volume and open interest is located in the series that is about to expire. So for example, we'll go back to Apple. We'll change this to just volume and open interest. And we'll see that just like psychological numbers work inside of the equities market, they often work quite well inside of the option market too. We see that 150 does have high call volume, and therefore there may be a bit of a skew towards the upside for Apple today because of how significant this open interest area is. It also is in some ways defining a bit of a value zone for Apple, but obviously we can see that in the charts because Apple is trading around 145 to 150. And then obviously there are some higher strikes here looking for higher prices. You can do the same thing on the put side, but if we look at the put side, we can see that the open interest is actually quite low. And that is what we saw previously in the put to call ratio. A lot of the option volume currently is skewed towards the call side, leading us to the thesis that whether it be today, whether it be in the next week or so, that imbalance may need to be corrected. Ultimately, if this ratio gets too far ahead of itself, just like any momentum or sharp volatility move to the downside, oftentimes we see corrections, and these can be sort of pullbacks in the larger trend or buying climaxes inside of a strong trend that is basically getting too far ahead of itself. So some things to review for today. If you're trading stocks like these, a lot of the key S&P top 10 stocks are going to have high option volume. And with catalyst news, oftentimes this open interest and volume will change. So for something like Facebook, which did gap up quite strongly, the option volume may be situated a bit lower due to the fact that this catalyst news has sort of changed the supply, demand, and the perception of Facebook. If Facebook does not decide to basically fade that gap today, then there is a lack of previous liquidity to the upside, and that can make the move quite sharp if we continue to rally. But if we do not continue to rally and we do fade, it does appear that Facebook may be drawn to a previous strike with high volume, sort of a previous value zone. So regardless of what occurs, you can sort of use this both for a thesis play, and that's obviously going to depend on how the stock sets up, but you can also use it for targets, because ultimately if we get to these levels, it's going to take a bit of time to basically consume and chew through this liquidity. So if we're hitting these price points, you may consider taking some of your position off, ultimately looking for a different setup, or you may just say that that's good enough based on the fact that we are so elevated inside of something like Facebook. So some things to think about for today. The idea is not necessarily to fight the price action back to these targets, but if the lack of demand inside of a gap up does occur today and we fade this gap up, that can provide a downside target for you on a short. So it's be sure to think about those concepts based on the trade setup, not necessarily thinking that that is where we're headed. That's not necessarily the case. So overall, we have basically a market testing all-time highs. I mean, the analysis becomes very straightforward here. We have recovered a very sharp downside move, 100% in both the SPY and the QQQ. We have a Dow that is forming a bit of a range, and we're seeing that test once again to the upside after starting to come once again down to the lower end. We're seeing the sharp rally. And then we have a bit of a sort of odd man out in terms of the IWM, still within this larger trading range and still seeing inflections off of the lows, but we're once again back at the midpoint and more specifically the value zone for this market, which is around 220 to 222. So where do we go from here? Do we attempt to short this market as it's testing all-time highs? There may be a bit of momentum starting to fade on this significant rally that we've seen, but we also don't really have high overall readings inside of the put-call ratio. We've already seen the sharp spike to the downside leading to this rally. Sorry, just changing my line style once again and taking off these studies because we don't need them. But we've seen these sharp spikes already, but now we're sitting once again midpoint. So has everything been resolved? Are we seeing capital leave the bond market back into equities? Technology is still leading, but it's basically a lot of key stocks that are really holding up the strength in this market. And then we have all of our inflationary sectors not necessarily performing the same way, but ultimately not selling off either. The likes of XLV is also something to consider, because amidst all of this volatility, XLV has been trending not only strongly, but probably one of the strongest trends that we have in this market, based on how explosive it's been in recent history. We're not seeing sort of the trend starting to test, but we're seeing a trend forming, and that's been helping the SPY out quite significantly. So overall, I don't really have much in the way of directional bias today. I don't have so much in terms of a watch list outside of the couple of stocks that have those sort of sentiment gaps from Snap and Twitter's earnings. But when it comes to this analysis and applying option statistics to your analysis, you can find these as additional points to basically confirm or give you confidence in some of your setups. And with a market that loves to pull back to the 50, test it once, and then basically come off, this has been a trend that basically will not give itself up so far. We've seen some cautionary points inside of it, but each and every time this has been met with buying pressure and just a recovery move in the market. So will this continue? Is every single attempt to break trend going to be marked with high put call ratio readings? And can we use this information if we do break trend to find even more significant lows if the trend really starts to fall apart? That is something we could start to look at and apply to our analysis day in and day out, or just once a week, to look for those big market moves. So with that said, that's pretty much it for today. I don't have much in the way of looking across some other areas of the market. I think just keeping the key futures and other indices on watch. Things like crude have had the same sort of sharp recovery as the equities market. A lot of volatility here, but already coming back to test things like the 20 period on the daily, and seeing a lot of strength in terms of the weekly with this huge pin bar and leading us back to this upper range. News is going to drive this trend moving forward. It seems a lot of information about OPEC supply being released into the marketplace, different agreements coming out. So as with everything, this has a lot of catalyst based sensitivity, and therefore for the energy markets or just for trading crude directly, something to always be cognizant of. We still have the dollar sort of on that teetering edge, not exploding higher, but also not giving up these gains. So gold and silver and just the sort of tentativeness of the dollar against the equity market strength, just waiting to see if we get an impulsive move anywhere and trying to respect that impulsive move relative to its normal correlations or inverse correlations. And then everything we've seen with the bond market, it's just super volatile right now. So as we watch things like TLT, just kind of keeping some core technical traditions in place. Is TLT losing its trend? So far, no. But TLT does appear to have set this high for now, and that has in the short term set a low for interest rates. So just keeping that on watch and using those key price levels to see if the market wants to react to them as they did in the past. So that's pretty much it. So my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. Trade safe. Happy Friday. Thank you all so much for attending both day in and day out, and also just the feedback that I've gotten. We'll keep adding to our analysis. We'll keep kind of leveraging things that are working versus things that are not. And if the market ever does change, we'll try and be prepared for that quick shift and see if the underlying risk factors and reasons for that shift are showing, a change. So that said, see y'all next week, and trade safe today. Stay tuned for pre-market prep, and we'll talk more then.
All right, good morning, everybody. Just waiting for my partner in crime, Norm. Oh, there he is.
Morning, buddy.
Good morning, sir. Let me just get you up and situated. Look at that. There's that pretty face. All right, good morning, everybody. Hopefully we're all good on YouTube. Good morning. Norm, I see the TV is off. There's no golf this weekend?
Not right now.
Oh, okay.
Won't be on till later.
Oh.
Matter of fact, I don't know that there is the Olympics. So
Yeah, it's funny. I keep forgetting that the Olympics are starting. It's only when Mike mentions the soccer, and then when is it this weekend that the opening ceremonies are supposed to be happening, or is it sometime later?
well, I think it's actually already happening, or it's happening right now. But
I see.
they air them tonight. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. I normally love to follow the Olympics. These ones, I'm not sure. For some reason, I'm just not into it. Probably because they're the 2020 Olympics and I'm confused. So. All right. Well.
Time machine.
Yeah. Enough about that.
TPC Twin Cities this weekend. Thank you, Baba. I appreciate it.
Let's talk markets. TPC Twin. I don't even know what that is. Okay.
That's a golf course, Peter.
All right. Now I'm educated.
Stands for Tournament Players Course.
Okay. All right. Now I know. Yesterday we had sort of a choppy day on the markets overall. The afternoon, despite what you see on the SPY chart overall, moving up from 12:30 right through to 2:30, frankly, it didn't provide many opportunities. I was pretty much in the room helping moderate all afternoon, and we struggled to find any opportunities, especially in the last 2 hours of the market. It was slow. You can see that in some of the things that we are watching. Even Neuro, which had been moving a lot and a lot of activity. Look how flat this chart was after the open yesterday. Some of the other things that we were looking at, like the airlines, for example, you can see the same. And LUV didn't end up moving up or down. American Airlines had a little bit of a move in the morning, but then, like you also see, flattened out quite significantly. I just realized my gappers list isn't. There you go. Now you guys can see that a little bit better. I ended up watching AMD and Apple, my good old standbys, because at least they were providing a directional trend. So as much as they weren't doing much exciting, I was sort of hoping that I would be able to catch a reversal or some sort of play. But if you played smarter than I did and got in at VWAP, you had to you sort of just held on for the rest of the day. Apple. Just ended up chopping sideways for most of the day. So I'm really hoping that we get a full day of trading today and more interest. That being said, it's a Friday during the summer, and that's not normally conducive to big moves in the afternoon. So we'll see what happens. So with that, I will do the thing that I always forget and give Norm a chance to tell us maybe what's happening overall in the markets.
I don't get too deep into it, but we had the 3-day pullback. And I was listening to something yesterday, and they were talking about it's the sixth or the seventh time that's happened this year. Like the market crashes for 3 days and then gets right back to where it was. So interesting point there, and it's happened once again. We're up 0.5% roughly on the SPY, a little over 1/3% on the Qs. Testing all-time highs. You're going to see there is two serious kind of overall stories going on our gappers list this morning. Of course, we have earnings. You're going to see social media up big this morning. Snap, Twitter, and Facebook. We had some announcements there with some really strong, specifically Twitter, had just amazing earnings and year-over-year growth. And then on the downside, almost every Chinese stock that we've ever traded happens to be on the gap down list. I have not looked at each and every one individually, but Tao, for instance, rumor is, and it's unpublished and unconfirmed, that the Chinese government is looking to turn Chinese tutoring and online education stuff into nonprofits, which obviously is no bueno for a for-profit company trading on these exchanges. And these have been hit because of regulations and everything recently as well. So it's kind of the heavy-handed Communist Chinese Party smacking down business is essentially what's built our gap down list today.
Wow, and look at that chart. Look at that drop, 57% down this morning on Tal. We'll get deeper into that, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Norm. It's we got a couple themes. All right, well, let's get to those themes.
It's not like this has been a high flyer recently.
No, like you can see on the daily.
I mean, this was $90 almost as many days ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
it was $90 back in February,
March, I believe.
So
February or March,
little earlier. But still, you're right. I mean, look at the just the steady decline here. I mean, this is a clear trend. But even with that clear trend, we've almost gone parabolic, if you want to consider it that way, on this trend, as we've dropped half.
If you loved it at 90, you must really love it at 9.
That's right. How could you possibly go wrong? But you're right. Nothing sends shudders through Wall Street when they hear something going from a for-profit to not-for-profit. So
I don't know how many times I've ever heard that.
No,
but it's not bueno.
No, that's it's hard to reward positive earnings if they're not planning to have any. All right. Well, with that, let's go through this gappers list. We will get to some of those that are going down. Let's start with the stuff that's gapping up. And Norm, we have earnings and, like you said, a couple of themes. So I'll need your help with the stuff because there's a lot of stuff on here today. The gappers up is the shorter of the two lists. So we'll start with ALZN, or ZN for my friends in America. It's up almost 58%. 7 million shares traded. Is this a low float? Not really. 39 million shares in the float. Is there news?
No, not. It's it's biotech. They announced positive results on a study on an Alzheimer's drug. I believe it was in mice. So see how that goes.
Okay. Positive, yeah.
I will note there are no shares for short on my end over here. So I'm not saying I would want to short something that's up 60%, but at least it takes that tool away from us if we were looking to do something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the way you tell that, guys, if you're not familiar and you're using the DAS tool, right here you'll see a symbol. Normally it's an S or a T if it's been paused, or SSR. Anyways, when there's nothing there, it usually means it's not shortable. You can still click on that space, and you get this box that I just pulled up. And as Norm just said, clearly it says not shortable. So, so there you go. All right, so moving on. I will keep that on the list because it's moving, and we'll see what happens. VNE, I looked at this earlier. Even when I zoom in on this chart, it looks absolutely terrible. Look at it, it's flat lining. I mean, it's
Swedish.
Okay. I mean, it's up 55% on 700,000 shares, but it's not doing anything. So, I don't know what the deal is. Sorry.
It's an acquisition. So
okay, perfect. Good to know. Acquisition off the table. There you go. All right. NRXP. Did we not have this yesterday? Maybe on the list. Sounds familiar. Anyways.
Yep.
Here it is.
This
again.
is a multi-day move. Yeah, they're back on.
I don't remember. Let me just zoom back. I don't remember it actually doing anything interesting yesterday. It did move yesterday, so there were some potential trades in it. Looks like you had to be patient at the open, and then it had some moves just for about an hour between 11 and 12. Maybe today we'll give it an opportunity. I don't know. It's okay, but not great. All right, let's get into social media here. As Norm pointed out, Snap is the first one on our list, gapping up 17% on just under 1 million shares. I know that they had earnings, and obviously it was good news, or apparently.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
I'm not a fan of this chart, though. I'll tell you, this thing is horrendous on the 5-minute, especially.
Yeah, it's not looking great here. Oh yeah, see on the 5 it looks totally flat, not much going on. Snap is
Something's funky with your scale, brother. I don't know what you got to zoom in a little closer or something, because it's just absolute chop when you get into there you go.
Yeah, I think it's because when I go out to yesterday, right? Because yesterday was $63 versus the 73 now. That's what's causing that. So, and I like to see that because then it tells me the relative size of the move. But anyways, we'll zoom in a little bit to make it less crazy. So Snap, like Norm said, he's absolutely right. It even when it's trading well, I'll say I find it tough to trade. Especially at the open, so be careful on this one if you choose to watch it or trade it. I just find it challenging. Twitter is often a better option, which we'll get to in just a second. NURO is on the list here. It's only up 3%. It's dropped down. It was up higher earlier, as you can see here, almost $29. Now it's back down at 25. Again, part of a multi-day move. Remember, they had news about treatment, fibromyalgia, if I recall. Treatment. I think that was them. Anyways, so they're still moving. Look at yesterday, though, see how big they gapped up in this big red candle, and they moved down. So today might be a down day, despite the fact that it's gapping up a little bit. We'll see on Neuro. Again, something I probably won't put on my primary list, but I might have there.
No shorts here either, brother.
Oh, look at that. You're absolutely right. No shorts again on this. So, yeah, so that may not be a good candidate because obviously if you can't short it, that takes out what may be the primary move. All right, let's get to Twitter. Like we mentioned, another earnings play. And this is earnings, right? Not just sympathy? Yes.
Yep.
Now, they're only up, but they're up 4.8%, moving on 300,000 shares. So I said normally once the market opens, I usually like Twitter a little bit better, but it's also one that it's not a go-to unless there's really specific news, which is what we have today. So we'll leave it on here. You can see that I've already got some levels set from the last time I watched it. Oddly, it's right in that same zone. Doesn't look like it's moved since last quarter. So anyways, we'll see what happens this morning. Next I've got is SPRT, 17 million shares in the float. 170,000 traded this morning. Pre-market is getting better, but not great. Is there news on, what is this, support.com?
I don't. Sarepta Therapeutics. This is a block trade, I think, bud.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Now that you're pointed out, yes, right here. Well, 50,000 shares. And then you're right. There's only like 3,000 shares every other minute. It is dead to me. All right. Facebook.
And I don't know why I don't know why it's on the gappers. There's something funky there because DAS is only showing 641 shares traded this morning.
Really? I'm showing 178,000 here, but
well, my DAS shows 641.
Huh, weird.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
It's off the list anyways. So, Facebook, right? So another one of these. Facebook's actually been moving fairly well.
I apologize. I did the wrong ticker. Somebody just pointed out. You're correct. Support.com looks terrible anyway. I had the wrong one.
Okay.
It looks equally as terrible. So thank you.
Can't tell you the number of times I do that where you transpose two of the letters or something. It's remember those days? What was the one where we had like 4 tickers and they were all like they were pretty much. Oh, maybe it was when we had.
Well, there was always Neo and INO being traded at the same time that people would get confused about. Yeah.
And when we were first, like Neo now is such a standard for us, it's hard to get it confused with anything, at least in my mind. But at the time, we were newly trading it, and NIO and INO was like driving our brains crazy. So, anyways, Facebook is up just under 3%, 175,000 shares traded. I said it normally trades well midday. It's one that you'll often see Mike, for example, trade for a high of day break. It's looking. I love the daily here, and we are sitting at all-time highs, so that does make it attractive. So we'll see what happens on Facebook. It's definitely staying on my list, although I won't have many levels to set. And
This has earnings coming up early next week, mid next week. I think it's just moving in sympathy with Facebook Twitter and Snap with their positive earnings. My guess is people trying to get in before that to try that, but we'll see.
right, that makes sense. All right, so now we'll look at the gap down list, and like we already talked about a little bit, TAL tops that list down 57%, 25 million shares. Feels like the rats are getting off the ship here. Yeah, I mean it's a tough one because we do have shares.
We got plenty of shares to short.
Yeah, 7.2 million here to short, so it is shortable for now. We'll see if that changes once the market opens, but it's on some tough news. So this one definitely feels like it's should be in play. And Norm, you're right. There is something with my chart here that. So guys, one of the things you can see. Look at how flat my chart is. And when you see that, the candles should fill the chart. So normally that means I've got a study that's being included in scale. So if you're using the DAS tool, I'm going to go now look at like my, here it is. So my 50 moving average, see it has this include in scale. If you unclick that, if you ever find you have flat charts, go look at your studies and watch what will happen. That moves up. Now obviously I have another one. So the red is my 200. Let me look at that. Oh, that's not included in scale. So I got something else. What else is in there? Maybe even the 20. There you go.
Go down the list.
See, it's getting better.
It's better, but it's still not right.
No, every time I take one off, so it just shows you I've got a bunch that are included in scale, and this has moved so much that normally the 9 I always leave in scale because it affects it. So there you go. So now that I've taken those off, you see it's the same chart. It just now looks a little bit better. So there you go. Little tip. All right, so we'll keep that on the list. And now I've done it. This should actually be SNTG. Look at that. Thought we were trading Sting. Got excited. It's SNTG. That is gapping down 30%, only 140,000 shares. The pre-market action, though, looks stable, although the volume is really low. I don't know, Norm, is there any news on this that makes it worthy of our attention? This one is also not shortable.
This is a Chinese ticker. I don't know what's up. I can't pull it. It won't pull on FinViz, so I don't know if this is a recent IPO or what the deal is. I don't know why it won't pull up. It looks like it IPO'd about 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. The 9th. So it's not pulling in FinViz. I'm not getting any news. My guess it's a similar story to the TAL and everything else.
Yeah, it could be. But as I said, for a thing that's gapping down, it is currently not shortable. It's on SSR, which means it was short sale restricted, activated at some point, but it doesn't matter when you have nothing to short, at least not on Interactive Brokers, which is where what I use as a broker. So for that reason, I'm going to get it off my list.
Thank you for the super chat, Daniel. Just legend over there once again.
Daniel's at it again. Thanks, Daniel. Look at that every morning. We appreciate that. Thank you so much for listening and for supporting us. That's wonderful. Speaking of that, if you like the show, don't be afraid to give us a thumbs up. We love those thumbs. So give us a thumbs up, and that'll be great. And subscribe if you haven't already, by the way, to the Bear Bulls channel in YouTube. We love the subscribers, and that way you'll always be able to find and get notifications for all of the new videos that we post. Pretty much every day we got something new coming. All right, IPA is the next one on my gap down list. It is down 22%, 800,000 shares. Interestingly, this was on the list yesterday as well. I can see this big gap up candle. Now we're sort of pulling back after yesterday's move. I imagine this is a second day play. Nothing new, right?
Correct.
All right, so it might be worthwhile though. We'll see what happens when the markets open and as we lead up to that. So here's another one with same letters, different order. API is the next one. 17% gap down, 280,000 shares. Low float? No. Wow, actually fairly big float. 86 million shares in the float. Price action doesn't look as good on this one, though, to me. What's the deal with API?
China.
Okay. Oh, is this another learning?
China. Yeah.
China. Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know what they do, but these are all down on the same
All right. Okay.
issue.
Fair enough. All right, so BEKE, I see it's KE Holdings. I generally don't like the holdings companies. It's also gapping down 11%, 200,000 shares traded. It's steadily down, but the pre-market action so far isn't consistent. So not loving it, but I may just leave it. We can check some levels on it. TME.
The only thing I like about it is how Brian calls that one Becky.
Becky.
But
right. Well, we'll see if Becky gives us some fun later. All right. That didn't sound right. Never mind. Moving on. TME.
Wow. Don't tell your wife.
That didn't come out the way I intended. All right. Never mind. Moving on. 10-cent music. TME. Down 5%, 500,000 shares. Now, Chinese stock here, but probably not the same news exactly, I imagine. Is there some unique news on TME this morning?
Same news, brother.
Oh, really? Okay, so that news is affecting all Chinese stocks.
Well, you have to remember, I mean, TME is a Jack Ma company. Jack Ma disappeared for about 3 months last year. He is under close watch of the Communist Party of China. And, so... if they come and start, stepping on these companies, then that might be a part of them getting smacked there too.
Oh, Jack in the chat is saying TME is not part of Jack Ma.
The opponent of Jack Ma.
Oh, okay. I thought it was as well. I thought it was like a
spin-off
of.
I thought he had his hands in there too.
Yeah.
You sure he doesn't?
Oh.
Okay. If you say so.
Anyways, okay. Either way,
it's all the same. Regardless, it's all the same. That's funny.
Right.
Yes. Somebody's saying I'm wrong, but if you go founding of Tencent in early career.
There you go.
How about that?
So it's like the things that Elon Musk has got his fingers in if you don't know his background. So there you go. Anyways, all right.
Okay. Regardless, it's all the same story here, guys.
Yeah. All right. So Billy, same story. Down 6%, 150,000 shares. I don't like that as much as the rest, being that we've got lots to look at. I'm going to get rid of it. TIGR. Gapping down 4%, 400,000 shares. Pre-market doesn't look great. This has been on the list a few times. I don't know that I've ever actually traded it, though. But anyways, for now, I'll leave it. SGMA I've got on the list. And let me just see, is it still on the list? Doesn't look like it's still on the list because it's up now. It's bouncing around here, so I'm going to get rid of it. I have VIPS. VIP Shop Holdings down 5%. This feels like an earnings, but I don't know actually. I don't know what's going on with VIPS.
That's a China.
Is it really? Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know that as well. All right, so another Chinese play. But again, doesn't look as good as some of the others, so I would get rid of it in favor of some of the ones we already have on the list. Now, JD is another one of these Chinese plays. It normally trades fairly well, and in fact, it's one of the ones that I know that Brian in our room looks at fairly regularly. Today, not looking fantastic. I think it's one that, if it starts to move, it'll appear in our gappers, and we can take a look at it then. So LI is one of our EV companies, but Chinese-based, down 4%, almost 500,000 shares traded. Might be worth setting some levels on this as we've got sort of that dual side.
It does have a little bit of separate news that some large stockholders have filed to alert that they might be selling shares. So
okay. So some people exiting the stock, which obviously can pull it down when you get much more inventory available on the market, sort of like a secondary offering type of thing. But anyways, all right. So that's LI. IQ, probably the same story, I imagine. It's in the same bucket. Again, doesn't look as good as some of the others. FUTU, FUTU, to all of you. Down 3%, 155,000 shares. Once again, guys, like we got a lot of these that are just down a little bit. If the pre-market is going to look like this, where I've got these candles where it's just not doing much, I just why track it? We've got other things that we can look at, so I'm going to get rid of it. CLOV has been a player for the last little while, but it's really sort of died off here. Again, I don't like it this morning. It's not looking great to me. High volume, 1.3 million shares, so it's not so bad, but so far the pre-market action doesn't look great. I'll wait to see if it appears on our gappers later. All right, Baba, we're heading to the bottom of the list here with Baba and Baidu. Same story, guys. We've already talked about all these Chinese offerings that are getting impacted because of the news. So again, neither one of these look particularly awesome. So I don't know. I won't keep a close eye on them. XPEV, same. Actually, XPEV looks a little bit better. 400,000 shares, down 3%. And I skipped over Bio. Now, Bio is one that's been bouncing around. I had it on my list earlier, but frankly, I don't see it on the gappers now, so I'm not spending any time on it. All right, last but not least, I know Intel had earnings. I think it was last night. Yes, it was, right, because we were watching it right at the market close. If you're in the room with us, we were watching it, and it had, if you go back to look at these candles right at the market close, this thing was jumping around all over the place. I see this morning it's opening down 2.8%, 300,000 shares. Now, Intel doesn't normally trade a lot pre-market, but this could be a good play once the market opens. We'll see. They did have good earnings, if I'm right on that, Norm, last night.
I haven't dug into their earnings. I hate trading this stock, but I know that, remember we talked about TXN earlier in the week and some concerns about peak chip demand and all that, which if anybody's ever traded chips, semiconductors over a longer term, it's a very cyclical business. They go through these shortages and ramp up production and produce a hell of a lot of them, make a lot of money, but at the same time crater the business because they oversupply and then they have to shut down. So there's concern there, and INTC is sparking some concern there as well.
Right. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to keep it on the list so we can put an eye to it. And with that, guys, we've got a big list of things to set levels at. Let's talk about our announcements for this week. We've had some good sessions that Norm can tell us about and tell you what's upcoming for next week.
Yeah, John's probabilistic thinking and trading webinar is posted next week. We got Peter here, my man this week, helping out. And thank you once again, Peter, for jumping in these last 4 days to cover for Carlos being out. It's never easy to do, but you've done a great job, so thank you. Next Tuesday, 8 p.m., we've got Peter talking about picking the right share size for you. Then next week, Nada's webinar about accepting stress and responding is posted. Next week, we've got a town hall with Dr. Katz. He'll be interviewing 2 traders from the community, not just traders. It is Thor and Jarad, and just talking about their trading journey and moderating that discussion. That'll be Wednesday at 8 p.m. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of that day with entries and exits, of course, and note any commentary you can to describe the trade. Post it on Twitter, tagging @BearableTraders, @MikeB_BBT, and @NormBBT. Also use hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We'll pick one each day, announce it in the afternoon, and then the team will vote on all the trades of the day that week. Pick a trade of the week, and that'll be announced on Monday.
And once again, if I could say on that, we have had some fantastic trades, and the ladies of BBT are still killing it. So, guys, we need to step up our game here because they're showing some fantastic trades. But it's just great to see how everybody's trading so well. Anyways, it's awesome to see.
All right. If you're watching on YouTube, haven't been in the chat, first of all, hit that thumbs up, hit the like button. It really does help us out. But if you would like to try out the room, you can do so at a discount. Use the promo code PREMARKET24. It'll get you a discount off the intro membership, which is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. Does not auto-renew, turn into any other kind of membership. You have to actually go do that. It just cancels itself. So then you have to go pick if you want to continue to be a member. And we're also continuing where we have the, if you want to try out an elite membership and you haven't been one before, use a promo code options50. It'll get you 50% off the first month of the monthly elite membership. And the reason the code is options50 is because we are very happy that we have finally announced our options education program. So that is live. Go check it out. Hopefully just the beginning.
All right, indeed. So, as you can see, another week of fun coming for next week. And let's go set some levels. As I do that, let me add something to the list here. I'm seeing on both YouTube and in the room, people are mentioning AXP. It is an earnings play from this morning. I see that it is starting to move a little bit, but at 120,000 shares, up 4.7%. Again, it's one of those that I don't know that I've ever really played. The thing that I like about it, just looking at it, it is, I believe, at all-time highs. Let me just check. I got to go back here in time. Let's go back in time on this daily chart. But yeah, I'm going back far enough. I don't see anything. So we are well into all-time highs. So that doesn't give us any levels to set other than my favorite tinfoil line, which I will just set here on AXP. But it might be worth keeping an eye on to see if it gets some upward momentum. All right, so let's go through our list. ALZN. So this is obviously not an industrial holding, I'll say. It's sort of on the verge of being a low float with about 39 million shares in the float. You can see there's not much of an appreciable 8 o'clock settlement line. We are up 47% from the close yesterday, which was at $5.74. However, ALZN doesn't have a long history here. It looks like it was a relatively recent IPO because I can only go back to the middle of June. So we don't have a lot of history, but we have been higher. So maybe this is the opportunity for this thing to move. I will set a level at the high of this candle at $12.13 very specifically right here. And then, well, it opened and spiked up to a high of $33 before someone got stuck holding the bag. So I'll set a level way up there, but frankly, not much of an expectation we'll get there, but you never know. NRXP is sort of moving downwards in the short term, but it is gapping up. Again, this feels like a recent IPO. Yes, it is, because I don't have much history. So we are pretty much at a place where we could have all-time highs. I will set a level here because we sort of bounced off of that at 23.50 before, and the previous all-time high was 25.65. We'll set a level right there, and I will modify this to be exactly 65. There you go. So I got that marked, which is roughly where it bounced today. I noticed it made 25.80, so we'll see what happens. This one could be interesting at the open if you don't mind playing those volatile, low float type trading stocks. All right. So with that, let me just clean up my. There you go. All right. Snapchat, like we mentioned. I'll just add my tinfoil line to keep an eye on it. Settlement line, maybe I should call it. But on the daily, we are we at all-time highs on this as well? It looks like we are. Previous all-time high was 73.59. So I'm definitely going to put a level just to keep an eye in case we come back and hit that. 73.59 was the previous all-time high. This morning we went as high as 74.40. So we are playing here at the sort of a well, let me just make sure I'm not lying to you. Is it all-time highs? Yes, it is. All right. So that always makes it interesting when it's at all-time highs because sometimes these things can just sort of take off and move much higher. All right, NURO moving down from yesterday. So yesterday did end up being pretty much an inside day, right? Playing within the wick of the previous day. Today might yet again be another inside day as it plays within the body and wick of the candle from the day before. So we'll see what happens. My levels have already been set from previous days. You can see them here on the chart. I got nothing more to do on that one. Twitter, like we mentioned, is moving. I've got some previous levels set, which still look good to me, frankly. Sort of just below the price action. You can see I've got one set here at 70.80, 71.25. Right above the current price action, I've got 74.73. And frankly, this thing really wants to go 80.75 is maybe the all-time high. Again, we'll move back on the chart here and see if that is the case. Yeah, looks like it. Yep. So once again, this is one that, we're not at all-time highs yet, but we could be. I see a line that I don't have here, 73.22. I want to mark that because that's where it peaked in the last time it tried to make a run back in April. So I will make sure that I get my line right there at 73.22, and that's good for Twitter. All right, last of the gap ups. Facebook, like we mentioned, can often trade well and is often on Mike's list for a high-of-day play because it's sort of in the price range he likes. Not doing much right now, right? It's sort of, just moving sideways largely. It is, though, at all-time highs, like I mentioned. So that doesn't give us many levels other than to mark what was the previous all-time high. 58.79 is the previous all-time high. So I'll just put that there in case we come back through that. It just gives me a place to keep an eye on it. It may now find resistance at that level if it comes back to 358.79. All right, Tal, we already talked about a couple of times. It is gapping down, and is this all-time? Well, it's not really all-time low, but it's certainly the low of the last couple of years in this thing. So I'll go back into 2016. We'll set some levels just in case they become relevant. The high of this candle was $8.14. So I'll put a level there. I'm going to put one maybe down here at the bottom of this consolidation at $7. I mean, let's face it, this thing could literally drop to zero. I mean, it's come from $90 down to $8 today, and it was $20 yesterday. So, this thing could really drop. Like we mentioned, though, it's going to be volatile. We have a lot of shares for short, so if there's any one that we might want to play, TAL might be it on the downside. All right, IPA, taking a quick look at that. We're within this big body of yesterday's candle. So again, maybe an inside day for that, but it might still give opportunity if you're looking to play it. It is shortable, but look at this. I only have 20,000 shares. So that tells me those could disappear at any moment, right? That's not a lot of shares whatsoever. So IPA may become not shortable any second now. So we will, I'll keep an eye on it. I'm going to set a really quick level down here at 850 roughly to keep an eye on it. And then I've got the low, yesterday's low that will allow me to keep a watch. At the high side, I'm going to set one up here, but I don't think it's going up. All right. API, people are pointing out to AMD. I'll get to that once I get through these. So API doesn't look any better, frankly, pre-market, as we're now past 9 o'clock, so I'm getting rid of it. BEKE, it's moving now a little bit, but the volume is still very, very low on this. I'm getting rid of it. TME, just moving sideways, don't like it. Dead. TIGR, same thing, don't like it. Right, so I'm trying to cull my list here to get to just the stuff I want to watch. LI, I know can get volume, so while it's not doing only 500,000 shares right now, I know it can play. I'm going to set some levels here at around $30 and at $28.70. That gives me some levels to the low side, and we'll see if LI becomes a bigger player today. XPEV, same area, often the same type of price action. You notice it's almost the same number of shares, gapping down almost the same amount. So, to me, these are interchangeable. You can play one or the other depending on what you like. Price-wise, I can't remember, $30 versus $40, so that, there's a lot in common here. Here I've got a good level here, but a better level almost down here at 37. This thing really starts to move down, and I'm going to set a level here because I like this level here at 39.70. So 39.71. Let me put that in, and that gives me something to look at XPEV and INTC. Like we mentioned, good earnings, which have been punished as of late. So, not a huge surprise that it's gapping down here this morning. And as Norm pointed out, that general industry concern about chip shortages can also bring it down, and manufacturing challenges. So 53.42 I see is sort of where it gapped, or 53.45 actually. I'm going to leave it there on Intel. If this thing really moves down, that gives me a level to watch. This may be a good rising devil play, which if you're in the room, you would learn about that from Brian. It's really when a stock is gapping down, it's moving below VWAP and basically pushes back up to a significant level, whether that's VWAP or one of our pivot levels, finds resistance and then moves back downwards. So we'll see if that's what happens here today on Intel. Since everybody was pointing it out to me, I can't help but take a look at AMD, and on AMD, yeah, I'm definitely it certainly had a jump up. I was saying yesterday, maybe AMD will get up into the 90s and make another run for 100. Maybe it's going to happen. That would excite me, I got to say, but AMD is looking strong this morning, which is interesting in the face of some of its industry competitors moving down. Let's do a quick if I can type here, let's do a quick check on NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is also gapping up this morning. Price action is fairly flat. But yeah, I think my good buddy AMD might be in play today. So I just noticed I've got a level. I'm going to set another level, albeit it's really close here. I'm going to set one at 95.40. So AMD loves to play with levels, so it's worth taking a look at here. You know, if it gets to some of these levels, that you can watch it. The other thing that we often look at in the room that you'll learn a lot about, especially if you stay with us through the afternoons. Thor will talk about his pivot points, and we love to play the pivot points. I've found them very useful myself. So you got these R and S levels, and I find these stocks tend to bounce off of them, especially once the market opens. But even pre-market, look at AMD, right? Look where the body of these candles are, right at this level at R2, and look where it hit the high of day, right at R3. So they tend to bounce off these levels, so they're worth keeping an eye on. All right, so that's what I had on the list. Those are some levels. Let's take a quick peek at what our moderators are looking at this morning. So I will bring this in, and we'll see what our mods are looking at. And whoops. And the other thing that I normally do in the room for all of our members is I announce all of our IPOs. Fridays are big days for IPOs, and we often get a lot, and this Friday is no exception. I can see a big list here when I go to my primary site to find them, so I will be adding those. I won't list them all, but I'll be adding those into our alerts and notifications for our members later this morning. All right, so let's see what our mods are looking at. We'll start with Thor, who was first in this morning with a watch list of watching the market overall with the SPY, SPY, Twitter, Intel, and NEO. He's on a secondary list. He's got AEL, CCL, and Snap. John is watching the high of day break list, and like I mentioned, right, when you're watching high of day break, Facebook tends to be on these gentlemen's lists, and it is here again today. mRNA and AXP, interestingly, are the other ones. So AXP, like I mentioned, earnings play, I think it was at all-time highs, worth keeping an eye on, especially if you like to play the high of day breaks. Jarad is going to be watching Twitter, Snap, and Facebook, watching American Express, AXP again because of earnings, and then his normal stocks, like he says, the ones he tends to watch all the time, NEO and CCL. I'm surprised that Jarad did not put AMC on his list, because that is his go-to for normal movers that he plays every day. Oh, wait a second. If I was to continue to read for a second, here it is. He's not doing it secretly, Rafzilla. I'm just not reading far enough ahead. Ta-da! Look at that. All right, Eamon is watching Beyond, Workhorse, and PLTR. Secondary, Open, NKLA, and BlackBerry. Like we've mentioned before, notice Eamon's list is often different. He's got a different trading strategy, and that's another thing we love at Bear Bull. We've got our mods all trade different strategies, and we share them all with you so you can understand, because not every strategy is for every trader. And sometimes, you need different approaches so you can learn what might work for you and what you can modify and make your own. Eamon's got a very different approach. He's got a different way of scanning the open market, and he doesn't use the gappers in the same way. And you notice his list reflects that. Mike has put himself in the penalty box. for violating some rules yesterday, so looks like he's not trading today. Tiffany is watching Facebook and Twitter with a secondary of Baba and Intel. And everybody, I encourage you to give Tiffany some love and some encouragement. When she does her summaries, trade summaries, and posts them on YouTube, they always get a lot of likes, and I love them because her trading strategy is very straightforward. It's a fantastic, mature approach to trading, so they're worth watching every time she posts one. Look for those, and I'm sure you'll learn something from it. All right. Last but not least, Jarad has jumped back in here and added Intel to his list as it's trading, which is reasonable. We do this a lot. In fact, I find I do it a lot, guys. As you move closer to the open, you'll find different things that start to move that'll grab your attention, and you might modify your list. So while I give you the list, it doesn't have to be a fixed list. Modify it as you find opportunity, and you can make those changes. So with that, guys, I really appreciate everybody who was here throughout this week as Carlos took the week off, although he did come back to bail us out on Monday. We weren't really coordinated for his absence, but now we sort of got it in hand just in time for him to come back. We will be going live, as we always do, with Brian and Andrew. So you know what Andrew's going to ask you? To get those likes on Facebook. So get those likes up so that he's not going to use me as a threat to shut us down, and then we'll trade live through the open with you here. So just stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll just have a holding screen for a second while we sort of transition over, and we'll be back with you in just a couple minutes. Thanks, everybody. Trade safe. As Carlos would normally say, you do not want to go into the weekend having had a bad day and knowing you broke your rules. If you have a losing day but followed your rules, that's okay, right? As long as you trade maturely. So don't do that to yourself. Stick to your rules, trade maturely, go into the weekend knowing that you did everything you could to drive your strategy. So with that, thank you again. Have a great weekend, everybody. For those in the room, I will talk to you this afternoon when I'm back on the microphone.
So the apes are trading against you right now.
Who? That Wall Street bet?
The apes, yeah, that's what they call themselves.
Apes, okay. Snap is interesting for an open range breakup.
Yeah, looking at Snap.
NRXP.
CCIV's jumped up. I don't know. There was some news there probably. That's a SPAC. Twitter is selling off. So I'm looking at Twitter, maybe a lead balloon trade. So thinking about maybe a short. Yeah, I was looking at TAL as a rising devil. Did I put that on my watch list? No, I didn't. Yeah, I'm adding Tal. I missed that. Okay.
Intel.
Snap. Intel recorded.
Are we still live on YouTube?
Yes, we are.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Good morning, YouTube guys. If YouTube guys can do to 400 likes, then we can continue. If Peter, we didn't get to 400 likes, you just dropped the stream share, please. Thank you, the feed, yeah. Thank you so much.
Neuro.
Perfect.
Neuro has been really hard to trade. Yesterday just dropped like a stone at the open.
Good morning, good morning. So what about ACKR? This one is a penny stock. Socket. Socket is not bad. I like Socket too, actually. I am liking you feel abandoned. Socket, SCKT, Socket Mobile. That's interesting, actually. What's the float on Socket?
I love the way you're saying that.
Socket. Socket.
Suck it, man. I mean, suck it.
Socket. Why are you making fun of my thing? It's Socket.
Suck it to me. The float on it is 5.7 million.
I actually like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so my watch list would be suck it. No float.
Okay.
Like the price range. AMC still short from yesterday because Brian thinks long. Snap and RXP, CCIV, Twitter, and Intel. All right.
All right. It's Friday, everybody, so just be mindful of that. We'll finish the week off on a positive note, if possible. Intel looks like could be a rising devil too.
Peter, you can shut off the YouTube to feed, please, because we didn't get much like on that front, unfortunately. Thank you for watching, guys.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for joining us.
TAL. What's the news on TAL? Man, that's really taken a beating here. All the Chinese stocks are in the red. Baba's really taking a hit. Baidu. Billy is really down. More stuff going on with
Oh, no, actually we did get to 400 likes, so keep it, Peter. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
HSBC raised their price target on Billy to 140, and it's down 7% this morning.
IWM is popping up a little bit.
Oh, I see. Chinese government making a, oh, okay. Thanks, guys. I know I've been hearing people talking about these Chinese stocks, saying they think they're a big bargain, but I just think there's so much headline risk. You just never know what the Chinese government's going to come out with next.
Snap, I like Snap too. So I really like Snap for opening range breakout. Although Snap tend to be a little bit choppy, so you don't expect to get a really big move on it.
Snap is an NYSE stock.
CCIV.
4 minutes to the open. Yeah, CCIV kind of popped up there. I'm just going to grab some water. Back in a sec.
Twitter. Yeah, Twitter generally trades a little bit better than Snap. Snap used to be, when it was a lower price, it was a little bit choppy. Twitter is up 4%. What's the news on Twitter? They lost the week up now. Earning, so earning is better, huh? That's good. Yeah, Twitter potentially.
Okay. Yeah, there's lots of stocks in the red today. If you look at the gappers list, I think if you look at a lot of them are Chinese stocks, and that's why. Hmm. One and a half minutes.
Twitter is nice, but Twitter lost the VWAP, and it just got a little bit tough to trade it for open range breakout. Let's see, it's below the VWAP.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying it might be like a lead balloon trade.
Twitter. NRXP is also interesting, but again, the problem is it's really below the VWAP. So. NRXP, Snap. I think from all of them, I like the Snap right now.
Yes. The only thing is Snap really hasn't done anything yet. Intel's popping up a bit. Tal's popping back up a bit.
Snap at
Twitter,
all-time
Tal.
high.
Yeah, I'm looking at Twitter, Tal, Snap, Intel, and CCIV.
Right, let's see what
Here
the
we
market
go.
is doing. I'm still short AMC. Let's see what it does. Intel is weak a little bit. I like the volume on Intel. Still Snap, no volume. Let's see where they get that. Intel is setting up for a 1 minute swing range breakdown. Intel is gapping down, so that's good. Let's see, Snap setting up for a 1 minute range break.
Tal got halted on way up there.
Amazing, eh? It was down 58% and it got halted on the way up.
Yeah, that's weird.
I like Twitter for 1 minute swing range break off.
Yeah, I'm looking at Twitter too. Ooh.
And Intel for 1 minute swing range breakdown. Taking a short on Intel.
Yeah, I'm short Intel as well. I just shorted Intel.
Snap is long. Yeah, Snap is a long. I'm taking a long on Snap. I should have got a better entry on it. 75.20. Selling some Snap. Intel still short.
Yeah, I'm still short
Adding a
Intel.
little bit more on Snap, man. Adding a little bit more to Snap. I got a bad entry. A much better entry would have been 75.20. I'm still short Intel as well. At 54, nice. Covering some Intel here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm covering some Intel. I got a fill at 53.77.
I think Snap has another pop in it.
Yeah. I'm not long Snap. I'm just short Intel right now. Just going to cover some more here.
Yeah. Longest Snap sold at 76.40, 30, you name it.
Wow, CCIV just dumped.
Yeah, still long Snap, big size, getting out more than 76.34. Still short Intel. I go to 77. Damn, look at that.
Yeah,
look
nice.
at that. Mr. Beauty. Go. Sold. CCIV is coming up. I don't have a lot of it doesn't have a lot of volume, CCIV, but could be a good opening range break up. I don't like the price action on it. Intel.
I hate the way it's trading.
Yeah, Intel's still short. I got a bad feel on Intel, but I think has some room to go down more.
Yeah, my entry wasn't that great either.
More pop in it. Snap has more pop in it. I add more on it actually. I'm adding a little more on it on the Snap. It's a little bit extended, but I'm adding a little bit for the next pop.
Wow, Billy really hitting lower.
Snap is an all-time high, huh? Yeah. Snap is an all-time high. There you go. AMC still setting off. I am short AMC from yesterday, covering some AMC here, just because Brian AMC is not a good short, just to prove my point. Snap is gonna pop more. I think so. I think it's gonna go to 78, to be honest. It's a little bit extended on a 1 minute chart, but I add a couple of thousand shares here. I'm adding a little bit, selling more. I think I want to go to 78 though. I think it's gonna go to Snap to 78.
Yeah,
What a day, man. What a day. Look at this. What a day. I think Snap has another pop in it. I think a little bit more on it. My average on Snap is at 76. Look at this. I think it's going to go to 74. Intel might be opening range breakdown. I'm already short Intel at 54.13.
I got short some Billy at 95.
Snap through 78, I think. Oh, yeah, look at this beauty. Here's my position, guys. I have Snap, AMC short. This is my position right now. Snap, AMC short, and Intel still short.
Just covering some Billy here. Intel still short.
Yeah, Intel is going to break down, I think. My entry on Intel is just amazing. Yeah, a little bit more on it. See what Intel is doing. Yeah, Intel is just below 12 today. I'm covering a little bit on Intel, but because I still I didn't cover much.
Yeah, I'm covering more. 55. Just covering some more Billy. Billy here at 94.33. 33 is my second favorite number.
What's the news in Snap? What is the news in Snap? Seriously.
It had earnings. They had earnings. I'm looking for Billy to lose 94 here.
Fucking kidding. Damn it. Intel is selling off. Covering more Intel. Oh, no, that's AMC. Sorry. Anyways, I'm covering some AMC too. Intel. Intel.
All out of Billy.
Wow. How's YouTube people doing? Did you guys YouTube people, did you guys anything good? You know the feed on YouTube, guys, is a little bit delay, at least 10, 15 seconds delay. Nice. Guys, can we get to 500 likes? That would be the record if you can get to 500 likes, that would be nice. Peter, maybe give them a little bit of time to 500 likes. If not, then you can cut off the feed. I mean, we see how many really nice move we got. We got from AMC, Intel, and Snap. Just amazing. So that would be really nice. Yeah, no, that's okay. But people are coming and going, Oscar. That's why. A lot of people who are not joining us now, then they might not have. A lot of likes are from early morning. A lot of people are actually in the chat room.
Yeah, I can see Twitter's kind of maybe put in a bottom here. I'm just, I'm looking at covering the rest of the Intel. It's around S3 right now.
Oh, yeah, there is a level, definitely.
Yeah,
So,
I'm covering I'm covering the rest of my Intel.
Yeah, it's a good place to rest because definitely it's a place to. The next level that you want to really hold is about 52.72. I'm not sure if I want to go to 52.70, but I'm going to hold 1,000 share down there here just to see. AMC is still going down.
Yeah, Billy just got annihilated. It's going to lose 93 now. Wow. I remember this week I was listening to CNBC on the talking heads were saying, oh, these Chinese internet stocks are such a great value.
You got to do always whatever the opposite of CNBC. That's the rule. The first rule on trading is you should do opposite of CNBC.
Yeah.
I know that. I'm not as long as of a trader as you, but I can do that. Intel is going down. Do whatever the opposite of CNBC.
Oh my God.
and you beat the market for sure.
Yeah,
Covering a little bit more here.
a lot of stuff's going red on the day.
Yeah, IWM lost a lot. Snap is getting ready for another pop. I'm thinking of adding some on a Snap. How many shares I have? I have maybe a little bit of adding a little bit of more on Snap. Let's see if you can get there. I don't want to mess up my whole. Oh, there you go. Beauty. Let's see if you can get to 79. Oh yeah, look at that beauty.
Yeah, it looks like it wants to go there. Oh my God.
And our
Billy is
Intel is still going down, buddy. Aha.
Yeah,
What's
I can see
AMC
that.
doing? I'm still short a little bit AMC. My short from AMC is a swing, guys. I said in my I said in the mentorship session that I might hold it a swing, and I did. So Snap is a little bit toppy, and I'm almost done. These ads brought my average up. It might does a pullback back to 77 and then goes up. But what I see here is there's a big buying pressure on it. It still will go up. It might become a 920 trade later in the day. Brian, we built a trade book mentorship session yesterday. So elite member guys, you go to the webinar room, go to the room folder. Traders and we build a trade book just for 920 trade, all the criterias and stuff. So you can download it in not the chat room, in the webinar room, in the top. Right? I think do we have it here too? No, we don't have it here. It's on the webinar room. So all the lifetime, not the lifetime members, elite members, you can go and download it from there. No, it's not for intro members. It's just for elite members. But if you upgrade for 1 month, you get access to the webinar room. You can download it. It's a Word document. That I can actually show it here. Yeah, so trade with practice for 920 trade. We just built it all the traders yesterday in the mentorship session. So, stock selection with examples and everything. And then I put some homework for you down there. So I put some action items for developing this one.
Interesting.
Shit, AMC's squeezing back up. No. You do not squeeze up. I don't like that. I don't like this squeeze on AMC. That's not good at all. So I'm just covering some of my position here. It might be actually good long. Yeah, I'm just covering most of my position. Intel still struggling down there. Covering some here, Intel as well. Snap, still think has another pop in it. My average on a Snap is a 77.60, so not a great average because I added too much. Adding a little bit more here.
It looks like it's trying to pop here.
Oh, yeah. I added a little bit more here. Above 78.50, I might add even more. But I got to be careful.
Billy and Intel are going to bounce.
Something on AMC. So I'm covering all of my shorts on AMC. Might worth actually doing a long on it. I'm taking a long on AMC at 37.70 because that squeeze is really something. Okay, Snap is setting off. Snap. Let's see what Snap is doing in this pullback, if it loses this moving average or not. Yeah, AMC. I took a small size long on AMC here at 37.60. Let's see what this one does. If it goes above 37.80, I might add more. Just want to see if this squeeze can hold it. If it can hold above the VWAP, then it might go for the break of high of the day.
Yeah,
I don't want to
I
add
flipped my positions. I flipped my position on Billy. I'm long right now, so I'm just selling right up here at the 9 moving average.
Snap. Yeah, Snap was really extended, so
Intel's popping too.
Yeah, Intel is popping up too. I have some. I have a little bit of shares left in Snap, so not
I think
much.
we'll see what it does at the 9 moving average. I'm pretty much out of it. Billy's looking quite interesting. You could tell both Intel and Billy were just getting ready to turn. So we're getting a bit of a short squeeze now. Billy's at the VWAP.
AMC didn't hold the VWAP, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop out of AMC. I just stopped out on AMC. Yeah, I'm done for my day. Had a really, really nice trade on AMC. I was expecting that AMC, if it holds the VWAP, then it can go for the break of high of the day, but it just didn't.
Yeah, Intel rejected at the 9 moving average. Billy's still going. The 20's right there. It's at around 97. Out. Yeah, nice toaster ghost. Way to go. Yeah, Billy was, really got oversold. I have no idea where it's going to go from here. We're through the 20 moving average right now. Intel did exactly the opposite, got up to the 9 moving average and rejected. Yeah, Billy turned into an amazing trade. Wasn't even initially on my watch list. TAL's been a bit of a dud. Well, I'm all out Billy. Whew. Still going up. It's going to go back up through 100 maybe. It did. It's amazing. Intel's right back at S3. This might be a double bottom. Nice, Eddie. What is Billy? Billy's a Chinese stock. Billy, B-I-L-I. And see if Intel loses this S3 level. Thor is trading. He's probably there squinting. He's wearing sunglasses. Oh, man, I want to see that. He's got the Blues Brothers look going, trading stocks. Wow, Facebook is ripping. A few people had that on their list this morning. I know Tiffany did.
Oh yeah,
I think
Facebook
Tiffany,
is a break up by Facebook.
yeah.
Oh yeah, all-time high on Facebook. Nice.
I think Tiffany had that on her watch list. Tiffany had Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, I'm still short on Intel. We're gonna get that.
Jarad and John. Yeah, Jarad and John and Facebook too. Nice. I didn't think Facebook was this just look at Twitter still selling off. Ooh, look at Intel still selling off. Yeah, Billy, that was a big time squeeze on Billy. It's pulling back now. Yeah, he's doing his Thor's in his sunglasses doing the free roll. CCIV's selling off. Oh. Apple's looks like it's gonna break out here. Don't trust it. What do you got here? IWM looks like it's about going. It's gone red on the day. Huh. Twitter's still selling. Twitter's going to go red on the day. It's just sitting right at yesterday's high right now. Looking for a bit of a bounce here. Still up 55 cents. I still think it's going to go red on the day. Socket really is sucking it. Yeah, on snaps, 920. Yeah, actually, a little early for a 920 trade, but it did do the bounce off the. It did bounce off the 9 for sure. Yeah, too late for an entry for me. Challenge with this one is the 9 and the 20 are a little close together. I'm gonna short some snap here. Just because I think it looks like it's going to head lower here. Just short, popping around. It's trying to hold the 20 moving average. As long as it stays below the 9. It's just fighting between the 9 and the 20 snap right now. I'm going to cover some here at 43. I don't like the way it's trading. I really shouldn't be shorting a strong stock like Snap. So, I'm going to cover the rest. So that was kind of a flat trade. I shouldn't be shorting a strong stock. Know what I'm doing here. Yeah, Intel does look like it's maybe put in a bit of a bottom here. It is definitely trying to hold this sort of 53 level. Still trading below the 9 moving average, but the 9 moving average is flattening out a bit. So it could pop up here. We'll take a bit of a long on Intel, 53.24. Just be aware that it's this 9 moving average is definitely, we're at it now, and it's resistance. So we'll look for a squeeze, maybe back up to the VWAP, 53.55. There's a big ask at 35. There's another big ask at 43. I don't know about that. Yeah, Billy's trying to hold the VWAP here. Still waiting for Snap to pop up a little more. Or Intel, I should say. Sorry about not Snap. See, look at that. Snap is looking like it's going to break down. 9 moving average is rolling over here. I knew it. Intel's really fighting with that 9 moving average. Oh, Twitter's really squeezing here. It's back up at the VWAP. Come on, Intel, pop. There we go. Still got a big ask at 53.43. It's like watching paint dry. There's still people just sitting there selling at 53.30. All right, Neo. Let's see if someone's playing Neo. Roku. Yeah, Roku's had a big pop here this morning. Oh, wow.
Oh, hey, Brian.
IWM continues to go red. Hey, how's it going, Peter?
Good. I'm in Intel a little ahead of you, so I hope that this is going to work out for both of us. I'm waiting for the same move.
Just positive thoughts.
Yeah. It's
Look at that. I think
it's really struggling here, though.
Mike's probably wondering why he's not in Roku.
I'm sure that's exactly what
Roku's on a tear. Here's where the pain comes for sure.
Yeah, Intel looks like it's.
I don't know. It's just there's lots of selling pressure at that 9 moving average.
Yeah, I'm out. That's a shame on Intel.
Yeah, I thought it looked like it had at least a VWAP in it. Twitter certainly popped back up. Picked the wrong horse for a double bottom. Twitter would have been the double bottom trade to take.
Yeah.
The size I have on Intel is small, so I'm still sticking with it to see if it can hold this level here. You probably had a better entry than I did.
Yeah, I just I'd actually originally got in at like 53.06, and then when it didn't look like it was bottoming as quickly as I expected, I got out, and then I had to get back in at 53.15. So when it came up and then it sort of curled back, I got a partial up above that 9 moving average you look at on the 2-minute, and then said, you know what, I'm just going to take it off and we'll see what happens. So I'm here seeing what happens. With that though,
yeah, I'm thinking about fingers on the trigger. If it drops to 53.10, I'll get out. Sorry, go ahead, Peter.
I'm just going to say we're heading to the end of our broadcast here on YouTube for the morning. So we appreciate everybody joining. Hopefully you'll consider being part of the room. Alexander, you're saying that Brian's mic isn't good. I'm not sure why. It sounds great here directly from the chat room. So I'm not sure why. Oh. And I have an IPO. My first IPO notice of the day is BLNGU. So it's a SPAC. We'll post it here for everybody. BLNGU. And up in the alerts. All right, and as always, I'll keep you advised when these open. Big volume, 1.2 million, but doesn't look like it's.
I'm out of Intel.
All right, with that, thanks so much for being here with us on YouTube. We will see you back Monday when Carlos will be back. Normal show with Carlos and Norm. So take care, everybody on YouTube. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend, guys.